Arizona Washington State is here, and who would have thought that this would probably be the game of the year in the conference? All of that and more on Locked On Wildcats.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. The show is brought to you by FanDuel. Check it out, FanDuel, all kinds of good stuff. All right, now, Arizona Washington State is here, and let's be honest here. Who of you out there did not see this being the game that would essentially decide the conference? Raise your hand if you didn't see that. Nobody's raising their hand because everybody saw this. But joking aside, Washington State has been one of the surprises of the year in college basketball, and honestly, they're good. It's kind of weird about the whole situation with Washington State is that, listen, I like Kyle Smith. He coached my guy Nate Renfro at San Francisco. Think he does a pretty good job. But one thing about him, though, is that he's hemorrhaged talent over the years. A lot of really, really good players have left Washington State, and you kind of wonder what exactly is the deal there. Why are these players leaving? But either way, I mean, he's got it cooking right now. He's got it cooking, and they play really, really hard, and that is a huge part of this. And he's got some length. There's some athleticism there as well, and that's something that has been able to bother Arizona up front a little bit at least. And so that'll be interesting to see. But he has done an amazing job. Earlier, obviously, they beat Arizona earlier this year, and like I said, he's the conference coach of the year in my opinion, and maybe not even just the conference coach. I don't know that he's not the national coach of the year. Washington State was a school that had absolutely no expectations going into the season. Not only did they have no expectations going into the season, I don't even think that anybody probably in the media could name many players on their roster. And I think a lot of folks were also thinking to themselves that, maybe Kyle Smith's on his way out. And the reason I say that again is that he has lost a lot of talent over the years, guys transferring, guys going to the D League, guys that just didn't, I guess, appear to be very happy with being at Washington State. But either way, he's really turned that ship around, and it's been impressive as to what he's been able to do. Like I said, I believe that he is the easy pick for the conference coach of the year, and probably would get my national coach of the year pick as well. Now, as far as Arizona goes, and we've been talking about this on the pod, and I'm going to keep beating this point home because I think it's a good point. Arizona, to me, it's far more about what Arizona does than who their competition is. You look across the board with this squad, and they're good, and Arizona is good. And not only is Arizona good, their talent. Listen, they've got size, they've got depth, they've got athleticism, they've got pretty much everything you need to be able to be to be able to win it all. Again, there aren't a lot of weaknesses on this squad, and not only are there not a lot of weaknesses on this squad, you got kind of all conference type players all the way across the board. You look up front, Umar Ballo, leader of men. He's going to be an all conference player. He gets beat up a lot by the fan base, and I don't think a lot of people are quite sure why. And honestly, I've been part of that. I've beaten him up as well, but he's not. You're kind of curious as to why exactly he does get beat up, because every single game gets you 15 and 10. I mean, he's that dude. He's really, really good at basketball. And then after that, you've got Keyshawn Johnson. Keyshawn Johnson, maybe not the I don't know that he's maybe necessarily maybe not quite the energy player that I think a lot of people thought that he was going to be. But either way, he's really good. you're definitely glad to have him on the team. He's a player that can give you 12 and 5 on a pretty much on a consistent basis. I think with him, a lot of people just thought that, he might be able to get a lot more points just off of running the court, things like that. That hasn't necessarily been the case, but either way, he's good. And then Pelle Larsson, obviously Pelle has played very, very good basketball of late. Actually pretty much all season. Pelle, speaking about Umar Ballo, Pelle Larsson's going to be all conference. And he's probably going to be on the all defensive team as well. He is, the shot's been solid. He's been able to get into the paint. He's been able to cause some problems there as well. Overall, it's just been a very good year for Pelle Larsson as well. Then Caleb Love. I believe that with Caleb Love, you're looking at the conference player of the year and probably somebody who's going to be a first or a second team All-American. Listen, he's not perfect. We all know that, but Caleb Love is also a player that is he's perfect for what Arizona needed. Arizona needed an alpha. Not only did Arizona need an alpha, Arizona needed somebody that could just take the bull by the horn and then just go at players and just make make opposing teams pay. And that's exactly what he's been able to do. Just like I said, just a very, very good basketball player. And honestly, somebody that Arizona just didn't have last year. Somebody that, when the chips were down, wanted the ball and was not going to shy away from that moment. A lot of people in North Carolina were saying, oh, you're not going to like this guy, whatever. Well, here's one thing that I think we know about Tommy Lloyd. Tommy Lloyd is a better coach than Hubert Davis. Tommy Lloyd is a better offensive coach than Hubert Davis. Tommy Lloyd is a coach who really, for lack of a better term, he understands offense. He understands that the best way to get somebody who's not prone to being super efficient, better and open looks is to keep him moving, not just stand there and say, all right, well, go pick and roll, high pick and roll, whatever the case may be. That's something that Tommy Lloyd has certainly been able to do during his time here at the U of A, and Caleb Love has certainly been a benefactor of it. But Caleb Love, to me, is the conference player of the year. I don't believe that somebody like a KJ Simpson, I don't believe that he has been, I just don't believe that they've been good enough. Oregon hasn't been good enough. I just don't know who it is. And Arizona's going to run away with this conference again. And he's been the best player. He's been the player that has, kind of put his stamp at the forefront of everything. And like I said, I think he's a pretty easy choice, and he's the most irreplaceable player on this team. I think with Arizona, you got players. A lot of these guys, you could bring in somebody off the bench, like a Jaden Bradley. You could maybe say Jaden Bradley would be as good as Kylan Boswell. You could certainly make that case. Mount Crevis would certainly not be nearly as good as Umar Ballo, leader of men, but you could still make the case that. Arizona would be okay. Without Caleb Love, there's absolutely no other person on this team that can replicate what he could do, even if he tried. And we're going to continue to talk about that and the point guard spot. But first, eBay Motors. eBay Motors. All right, here's the deal. I know nothing about cars. You all are smarter than me. You probably do know about cars. I don't know anything about cars. eBay Motors, though, millions of parts for your MVP. Win every time with parts that fit your ride. Again, eBay Motors is absolutely fantastic. Again, you can cut out the middleman. You can get what you need at an affordable price, and then guess what you do? You go to somebody that you trust with those parts and say, listen, what I got at eBay Motors, and then you will save money in the long term. Again, you'll thank me for it later. Check it out, eBay Motors. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now let's talk a little bit about we're going to keep going with Caleb Love. I think Caleb Love should be an All-American. I believe that he's the conference player of the year. Not only is he the conference player of the year, I believe he should be an All-American. He has been, like I said, he's been everything that I think Arizona fans were hoping he would be and more. And he does it with a smile. He does it with a little bit of a flair that's kind of cool to see. A lot of times you don't see that with a modern day college athlete, the way that he does it. And again, the player that you feel very, very comfortable with, that when the chips are down and you're going to be in a really, really good spot. Again, might not make everyone, but he's also going to be the guy that I think is fair to say will get you the bucket when you need it. He's, like I said, he's been absolutely fantastic, and I think that he's also the guy that he should win some national awards. I really do. I believe he should be in that equation for some national awards because he's been that dude for Arizona. And not only has he been that guy for Arizona, I don't know where Arizona would be without him. Now, looking at the point guard, need Kylan Boswell to keep doing what he's doing. Again, just need Boswell to be solid. Boswell is showing a little bit more aggression, which is great to see, which is very, very nice to see. Not only is he showing a little bit more aggression, he's talking a little bit of smack out there. I like seeing it. When like Jose Perez tried backing him up or posting him up, he couldn't go anywhere. Boswell looked at him and he's like, "Do it again, man." I like seeing that again. I need him to come and like my tweets and stuff too as well. Because again, he is when Kylan Boswell is playing well, Arizona is very, very difficult to beat. And not only is Arizona very difficult to beat, Arizona is also the school Arizona is also a team that's he rounds everything out. Because you already know what you got. You got with Umar Ballo, leader of men. You've got somebody, a big dude up front. It's going to finish around the hoop. He's a little bit limited, obviously. But then you got Keyshawn Johnson, not quite the skill, but athletic, being able to run around, being able to make some plays. Then you've got Pella Larson, obviously, kind of that jack of all trades. You got Caleb Love, who's going to be able to get you buckets from anywhere. You just need that point guard to continue to be able to make plays. And if he can do that, then you're in really, really good shape if you're the University of Arizona. And I think that you got to feel really good about it. But I'm very happy with what I've seen from Kylan Boswell. Again, this team is going to go as far as he takes them. Again, he's far from perfect. I get all of that, but he's also the dude who is he's also the guy that I think it's fair to say at this stage in the game, Arizona needs him, because when he's playing better, they are in a very, very good spot. And I think that's what's also just kind of exciting about all of this. And I think we're also kind of at the stage where, everybody knows what he can do. Not only does everybody know what he can do, I think we expect it, and Arizona fans should expect it. Then Jaden Bradley has been awesome. And not only has Jaden Bradley been awesome, Jaden Bradley has been somebody that I think we're also kind of at the point where you're learning to kind of expect that, man, Jaden Bradley's good. And listen, defensively, we all know that Jaden Bradley's a pest. And that has certainly not stopped. But there's also points too where you also know that, man, offensively, he's really picking his game up. And not only is he really picking his game up offensively, you're also kind of starting to look around and be like, all right, man, maybe you got a little bit of an NBA player on your hands here, because he's athletically, he's good. He's quick. He can get into passing lanes. Like I said, there's just a lot to like about him, and it's cool to see his confidence at the level that it is right now. They're going to need that, and all of this stuff's going to need to happen against Washington State because, again, Arizona's got a really, really good 8-man rotation, and to me, it's really more about what Arizona does than what another team does. And, maybe that sounds trite, whatever the case may be. I don't care because it's true. Then with, obviously you got Jaden Bradley coming off the bench, KJ Lewis, who I believe is the best NBA prospect on the team. And not only that, I believe that I'm a little worried. I don't want this to happen, obviously, but I'm a little worried. I do not want Arizona to lose him. And not only do I not want Arizona to lose him, I don't want him to be the case where you're like, oh, well, you know what? He pulled a little bit of a Dalen Terry, and he ended up leaving. Don't want that. And we certainly do not want that. And not only do we not want that, I think he'll be the better for it as well. I think that he's the dude who, right at this stage in the game, next year can be an All-American. And he's somebody that I think Arizona is going to need in the Big 12 because he's got that physicality. He's got that nature in play. And not only does he have that nature in play, I think you're going to see an All-American like type dude. But again, Arizona needs him this year as well. When he enters the game, things just change. From an athleticism perspective, there's nobody like him in the starting lineup that has that kind of build. And when he comes in, he's got a knack for the ball. Not only does he have a knack for the ball, he's also got an ability to just be able to just finish around the hoop, all kinds of good stuff. A very impressive player, like I said. I was one of the players I was right on. I thought he should have been a 5-star kid. That's what a top 15, top 20 player in the nation looks like. And he's that dude. It's really that simple. He's that guy. Arizona needs that to continue. And then the other one, obviously, Mount Crevis. With Mount Crevis, I think he's another one that gives you a unique feel, because how many guys can you bring in off the bench in college basketball that are a legit 7'2", something like that, and can actually play. When he's good, there's not many teams in the country that have somebody like that. And again, that's kind of what makes it unique about these 3 guys that you bring off the bench. You got 3 guys that make a big difference. And not only do they make a big difference, they also are totally unique to what they do. Their games are different. And not only are their games different, it's just a unique quality that they all have. But Mount Crevis, when he's playing well, Arizona is a totally different team, and Arizona needs to continue to do that. And if Arizona continues to do that, then I think that they're going to be in a good spot. But that's what you need. This is a team that should be a #1 seed. You've got the talent. Not only do you have the talent, you've also got all the pieces fit together. And that's a big testament to what Tommy Lloyd's been able to do as far as putting all these players, molding all these players together. But it's also about being able to make the plays happen on the court. Because again, UConn is the one that obviously has everybody's attention right now. And I get it. It's because how good they are. UConn is absolutely fantastic. But I also do think that Arizona is right there And I believe that their upside is the closest that any team comes to matching UConn in the country. I really do believe that. And that is, that's something you can't take lightly, because Arizona up front is big, is athletic, and you got all the scorers. So again, like I said, there's a lot to like. There's a lot to like about what Arizona can do. Now we're going to talk a little bit more AD talk, but first, FanDuel, check it out. FanDuel, new customers, you can put down $5 and you get out 200 free plays. That simple, that easy. If the bet wins, that's all that happens. So you have to have the bet win. And if the bet wins, then you are golden. Again, we are in a fun time of the year. You got basketball, football's over, but you got the NFL draft coming up. I don't even like baseball, but guess what? If you bet on baseball and you got a little bit of money in it, then it becomes a little bit more interesting. Check it out. Again, FanDuel.com/lockedon. You will thank me later. Again, it's all kinds of good stuff. And it's fun to bet when you're watching something, you got a little bit of skin in the game, and FanDuel is here. You can bet before the games. You can bet after the games. You can do all of that. Check it out. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now, let's talk a little bit of Arizona athletic director talk. Obviously, this was a nice little move. You've got Desiree Reed-Francois back in here, but it was also nice to be able to get. Tommy Lloyd's contract extension done. And contrary to what some other people might say, you don't need to have a promissory note or 70% of alumni sign off on anything. If you got the money, you get it done, period. That's all there is to it. It's very, very simple. And that's what happened with Tommy Lloyd. Tommy Lloyd is going to be an Arizona Wildcat for the foreseeable future, and that's a good thing, because not only is that a good thing, he's also the guy that just kind of fits in he just kind of fits in with what Arizona wants to do here. And not only does he fit in with what Arizona wants to do, you can just tell that he enjoys this area. And not only does he enjoy this area, I think he likes being able to go out and play pickleball or go to Bob Dobbs for a beer or, any of those situations. I think that is a big part of I think that's a big part of what he likes about Arizona. And honestly, it makes a lot of sense. He can also win here. He can also get whatever the players that he needs, he can get Arizona. You can win a national championship at Arizona. And you got to give the donors a lot of credit here because they ponied up, and he's going to be paid as one of the top 5 to 7 coaches in the country, which, let's be honest here, he is. You look at what Arizona's been able to do, and you look at what happened to Gonzaga after he left, and, it's pretty stark. Arizona has done a very nice job with that. Now, with the rest of Tommy Lloyd, then, it's just about continuing to build it. He's figuring things out as he goes. He's done a good job. Like we talked about before, I think last year he knew that he needed some players with a little bit more edge, a little bit more ability, and he got it. And that was very exciting. So that's something that Desiree Reed-Francois does not have to worry about. That is already taken care of, as is Brent Brennan. Her biggest priority, I think, is going to be the financial particulars of the university, being able to fundraise money. Keep in mind, we talked about it before. She brought in $62 million. Not only $62 million, but also that would be something that would be very good for Arizona. And it's going to be about probably trimming some of the fat, for lack of a better term. But we will find that out. But either way, obviously, she's somebody that has has at least checks off a lot of boxes. And it also goes to show you, too, something about the University of Arizona, that we are at the point with the Wildcats where you're stealing somebody from an SEC school. So if everything was as bad as some folks were trying to make it out to be, maybe things just weren't quite that bad because, again, she's taking a pay cut to come to the University of Arizona. And granted, I think there were some things going on behind the scenes at Missouri, but I think she's super happy to be here. And again, being that she graduated from here, law degree, obviously, that's something that is that's something that's very nice as well. But either way, we'll continue to keep an eye on that. But at the presser, you could tell that the top priority for her is going to be all the financial stuff, being able to get everything in order there. And Bobby Robbins obviously wants to keep his job, and I think that's a big part of his selling point. And he was able to get it done with the alumni, being able to get Tommy Lloyd in here. So there's that. Now, so again, as far as a prediction for tonight, I am back in the A. I am going Arizona 81, Washington State 73. This should be an interesting game, but like I said, Washington State's good. It's hard to say, sit here and say that this was going to be the game that was going to decide the conference, but this is going to be the game. Washington State is clearly the second best team in the conference, and it's going to be a game that I think, we're going to look at and be like, all right, well, this would be a nice win. So this is a win that Arizona needs to have, and I expect Arizona to get this job done. But tomorrow we're going to come back. We're going to break down Tommy Lloyd's contract even more because there's a lot of little interesting nuances and tidbits in there as well. But as always, very much appreciate you all making Locked On Wildcats your first listen of the day. Bear down, back the A. I'm your host, Mike Luke. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your Thursday.